Is right now like a bad time to ask a girl out? Like, should I wait a couple days, wait a couple weeks?
The women in his comment section were all on the same vibe. My taxi light is off. This woman said she canceled 3 dates this week. Just ended it with a guy of 2 months for him saying, "Aw, don't cry, it's only 4 years, it'll be okay."
This is a very interesting clip from the Color Purple musical roadshow, if you will, from about a year ago, where they're having a conversation about what they were doing to get into their characters. And they get into this particular conversation, which is kind of a microcosm for what we're seeing with this burgeoning 4B movement, as we're starting to see women themselves divide into two distinct groups of women, those that are supporting the 4B movement and those that are moving in a more traditional direction. You can see the whole dichotomy play itself out in this small clip here.
She has her cross to bear and then your characters cross to bear. It's too much. It can be too much. So I was trying to help her out with that a little bit. I would try to make her come outside sometimes, but she got the dog.
Yeah, Taysha, I heard you got a little story.
She had a dog.
What's this fake dog story?
She had a dog. We would always be like, "Taysha, come on, come out, girl. Come over for drinks or wines or whatever." "Oh, girl, I can't. I gotta go home and walk my dog."
Until we found out.
She didn't have a dog.
What's interesting about this clip is that we know that Taraji P. Henson is single still, and we know that Fantasia is married. So essentially she told that lie so she could get away from being with them when they went to party, so she could go home and be home with her family. Post-election, a new energy has not just re-emerged, but has revitalized itself. The energy of the 4B movement.
4B movement.
The 4B movement.
The 4B movement.
So what is it? Actually, a fringe feminist campaign from South Korea. The 4Bs, Korean for 4 no's, no marrying men, no giving birth, no dating men, and no sex with men.
There's so much pressure in South Korea for women to have kids, and women felt extremely undervalued. So they have sort of banded together to not kind of give into these societal pressures.
South Korea has the world's lowest fertility rate. Now, Google searches for 4B surging to record levels in the US as one of its top trending searches in the last 48 hours.
What began as the 4B movement has now evolved into the 6B4T movement, not only renouncing sex, child-rearing, dating, and marriage with men, but adding the 2 tenets of not buying sexist products, as well as supporting other women who are of the 4B movement, now the 6B movement, and adding the 6 Ts, which refers to rejecting strict beauty standards, rejecting hypersexual depictions of women in Japanese otaku comics, rejecting religion, and rejecting idol culture, which is very popular in Korea. And you can see the effect of this new 6B4T movement right away.
I think people got it messed up with the 4B movement. They're like, so women just aren't gonna get it from anywhere. They're just gonna go without. How are they gonna survive? First off, I think you underestimate what's in my nightstand. Secondly, some of us also found liberal men with vasectomies, and I can promise you he will not be going without. All right, if my friends are really down that bad, I'll be like, hey, you want a rental? I have no problem with that.
And for the women who were slightly open to the idea, this is how they feel. If you're standing on the good side of business, come pick me up, I'm ready. I think you can ask her out, but you better be healed and treat her like a princess and fight for her rights.
It was on the previous TikTok where, looking through the comments, I was met with a link that went to a very popular trending topic called Lavender Marriages. And down the rabbit hole I went. Per Business Insider, for Gen Zers tired of dating, lavender marriages are looking more. The term was originally coined in the early 20th century to describe a union between a man and a woman in which one or both partners were homosexual as a way to hide their sexual orientation from society. But on social media recently, the term lavender marriages has been appropriated by some Gen Zers who are tired of being broke, single, and lonely. Some videos on TikTok with the hashtag #LavenderMarriage have amassed millions of views on the platform. It's unclear exactly how many lavender marriages are taking place and to what extent the conversations on social media reflect a wider trend, but at least on TikTok, it has captured the imagination of Zoomers. People can do it in case one or both partners don't have family or have gone no contact, and their lavender spouse becomes not only their best friend, but a legal family member, he said. But the modern version of a lavender marriage could also simply be an agreement between two people to live their lives like a married couple without the sex.
Have y'all heard of lavender marriage? I was yesterday years old when I heard about a lavender marriage. It's apparently when a gay and a straight couple form a union to portray as a real marriage, but and reap the benefits of being married, you know, like splitting bills or one paying all the bills, you know, what have you, you know, just reaping benefits of marriage. But it's not really real. I never knew that was a thing.
Neither did I.
Interesting.
It's like we married, but it's like no sex, and we whoever.
So I just found out what a lavender marriage was. Back in my day, they were called mustaches. I don't even know why they were called mustaches, honestly, but I'm down. Like, I would get married to my gay best friend. If I'm not married to a woman by the time I'm like 40, I would marry my gay best friend. Build a life. We could buy property together, do taxes together. He does his own thing. I do my own thing. You know, our partners, you know, understand, because it ain't gonna be no messy shit. That sounds like a dream come true. Who wanna marry me? Like, I would get married to a gay man. Like, let's go. Let's do it.
A lavender marriage only works if that man does not hate women. We all know there's a lot of men out in the world that hate women. They just don't like us. So in order for your lavender marriage to work, he has to understand what it means to have a woman in his life. He knows the benefits that it brings to have you in his life, and he's willing to be the provider for you because he understands your worth. That's the only way a lavender marriage is gonna work.
Oh, girl, I can't. I gotta go home and walk my dog.
Until we found out.
She didn't have a dog.
Y'all never know you to have a dog.
This morning she didn't have a dog.
So, Fantasia rejected you fake social climbing, false value having, independent boss chicks by coming up with a lie to get away from you after work without you looking at her some type of way for rejecting you.
This is Pink Book Lessons responding to the Roadshow interview for the Color Purple musical, and she directly identifies, correctly of course, the energy that's surrounding that cast on the stage, because a few of them were married, but of course the most powerful women in the movie, Oprah and Taraji B. Henson, are not married. And so Fantasia had to do what she had to do to get back home to her man.
So, Oprah, you didn't know she didn't have a dog either?
They told me in the group. I said, that dog, there's no dog?
I was sharpening up my acting skills. And they believed me. I said, baby, I got to get home and feed that dog.
Fantasia is trying to play this guy off like she was trying to sharpen her acting skills. I guess she was acting like she wanted to be down, Brandy, but honestly, she wasn't trying to be down like that for real. Nah, really, Fantasia was lying. She did want to hang out with them after work, but didn't want to explain why. And you know what? She didn't have to explain why. No, she didn't owe anybody an explanation. I know why she didn't want to hang out. She knew why. She just didn't feel like explaining to them because most of them wouldn't understand and would probably try to kick her out the sisterhood because, you know, they're all strong, tough black woman kings. And when you're a woman, a feminine woman, the sisterhood can really come for you and try to mess your mind up so you can be like them. You know, having to go home for that dog is something they would understand and wouldn't look at her crazy for it. But if she said that she didn't want to hang out with them because of her husband, then, you know, they'll say she's weak or her husband is controlling.
Oh, I did it for a while, and all of a sudden she says, you ain't got no dog.
And let us remember what Dr. Boyce Watkins had to say about the musical when he walked out of it.
Okay, so I saw The Color Purple, and I'm walking out to the car, and I will say this. It was a well-done movie. It was, the singing choreography is excellent, acting was good. If that's your type of movie. I was not in the target demographic of that movie because I'm a straight black male, and I don't think that men were represented very well. And obviously I have an issue with the idea of black women and white men getting together and making movies that make black men look terrible. I'm not a fan of that. However, this movie does not document the relationship between black men and black women. It documents the relationship between feminists and lesbians and abusive men.
Since gay marriage might not exist, who wants to have a lavender marriage with us gay couples? We can get a big house and live together. Having not known of the 6B4T movement and the lavender marriage movement before the election, I was a bit mystified at the growing split between the black community, or black voters, I should say, where you have a group of black people who are leaning more conservative because just like if you're someone who identifies with Fantasia or you're Fantasia's husband, it might not be in your best interest to try and identify with a growing number of people who are looking to answer the family question with same-sex couples marrying other same-sex couples and on paper having quote-unquote heterosexual marriages, but they're doing something that's different from maybe what is deemed traditional. And of course, when you see it through that lens, it's easy to see why our politics are diverging. If we're men in the domestic marriage market and we're looking for either a more equitable way to deal with child rights when the family splits, or even the monetary issues that come from the split, or even just looking for someone who is marriage-minded and family-minded to have a family with, then these kind of politics will reflect something that's going to lean something more conservative. And if we're in the same voting pool with people who are being appealed to for this new 4B, 6B, 4T lavender marriage movement, then it's clear we have to move in a different direction because the arrows are not pointed in the same one that we're trying to go in. Maybe one version of the future of the black community is lavender. And if that is, then that means that some of us have to make a decision about if we're going to go along with it or if we're going to set a new course. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, comment below. I'll catch you in the next video. Take care, guys.